I drove an ice cream truck for a couple of years. I'm the kind of person who never stopped at one place or at one job. After a part-time job at a local restaurant, I was getting bored in a small town. I was planning to go out and get on the roads. I had this one friend from school who told me she has got a permanent job as a chef in California. I remember she had an ice cream truck. So, without wasting any more time, I asked her if I could rent that from her to make some money. So, with an entrepreneurial attitude, I started my mini business. I had no idea that I always had a knack for the food business. I started to travel in that truck and sell ice cream for a living in the entire Oklahoma area. I renovated the truck with my hard-earned savings and started a new chapter in my life. I generally stopped near playgrounds and schools in the evenings. The fun part of the job was to see kids chattering around me with excitement and laughter. After a month, I became familiar with the kids. It was a warm summer afternoon, also a holiday. Expecting the children to come early to the park, I started driving the truck to the location. When I reached the park, I saw children have started to arrive. I pulled the truck under a tree near the sidewalks and rang the bell attached to the truck. They all gathered around the truck and started asking for their favorites while raising $1 with their tiny hands. It was like feeding 1,000 tadpoles in a small pond. I was busy distributing the ice cream when my eyes went to a little boy sitting at some distance. He was sitting on a green bench while keeping his head down. It seemed really odd that amid all these active kids, the boy was on his own like this. Almost every kid in the park took ice cream from me, but that boy didn't even turn around once towards the truck. I thought maybe he has no money, so I decided to give that kid a chocolate cone for free. I turned around and prepared the cone for him, but when I looked back, he was gone. The empty bench lied there. I got a bit sad and started to clean the truck before moving on to another spot. I was cleaning the floor of the truck when I heard a small knock on the order desk. I turned around and saw that it was that little boy who was sitting on that bench a few minutes back. He was standing near the truck, but his head was still down. Sun was about to set, so the area under the tree got a bit darker than usual. I couldn't see his face at all, and I asked in a cheerful voice, did he want an ice cream? Without moving up his head, he raised his small hands toward me and said, a strawberry cone, please. His fingers were dirty, and there were mud under his nails. It seemed like he dug the ground with his small hands just a few moments back. I gave him the strawberry cone, but refused to take the money. But he didn't move away. He just stood there, like before, holding the $1 on his muddy hand as it dangled in the air. The kid's body language felt very weird to me. I have never seen such a calm and extremely quiet kid like him till now. I took the money as the kid took the strawberry cone and turned around to walk away. Hey, what is your name? He stopped and without turning around replied, Mom told me never to talk to strangers. I have to go home. She's waiting for me. He then walked away. I got a bit surprised seeing this kid's obedience towards his mother. Such a well-behaved kid, I thought to myself. That night after coming home, I still couldn't stop thinking about that child's unexpected behavior. I decided to go to the same park tomorrow and talk to that kid more. The next day I went there again. As I went on selling ice cream, my eyes kept scanning the park for that little boy the entire time. At a point when I realized he won't come today, and I started to pack up for the day. I was putting the ice cream tubs inside the mini fridge when I almost gasped in fear. A small dirty hand was resting on the desk of the truck. It didn't take me a second to realize whose hand was that. Jeez, you scared me, I said in a relieved voice. The boy stood like before, holding a dirty $1 in his hand while keeping his head down. I said, now we are not strangers anymore. You can tell me your name. He said in the same emotionless voice, I'm Mikhail. Well, hello, Mikhail. "Do you come here alone?" He nodded his head slowly from up to down. I handed him the strawberry ice cream. As I went to take the dollar from his hand, my fingers ran over his index finger, and his dirty nail came off, revealing the red flesh underneath. "Oh God, you're hurt. You need help," I said, seeing this vicious sight. But without saying anything, the boy turned around and started to walk away. It seemed like he didn't even feel the pain when the nail came off. Drops of blood laid on the desk, and I watched the boy walk away as if nothing happened. I couldn't hold my curiosity anymore. As soon as he went behind that tree, I came down and started to follow him. The boy was walking towards the left corner of the park that was now in complete darkness. This side was also covered with vines and weeds. I had no intention of scaring the child, so I maintained my distance and watched him secretly. After walking to a big tree at the end of the park, he stopped under it. The small lamp on the other side of the road gave me some light to that corner. The boy crashed down on the road and started digging up the soil with his small hands. He dug without stopping. His nails and fingers cut open with the pressure. Raw flesh and blood came out of his wounds as he went on, but I still couldn't see his face. I was thinking to stop this child from hurting himself like this when the boy placed the ice cream in the pit he just dug up and buried it with soil again. I couldn't watch anymore, so I came out from the bushes screaming, "What are you doing? Are you all right?" For the first time, the boy lifted up his face towards me. On that warm summer evening, I felt a gush of cold wind shivering down my spine. The kid had no eyes. Instead of his eyeballs, dark, hollow eye sockets stared at me. A painful expression appeared on his face, and he said, "I want to go home, but no matter how much I dig to come out, I always end up here," and vanished in the air right in front of my eyes. I fell to the floor with a huge shock. My mouth opened in shock, and my heart stopped in fear. Sweat appeared on my forehead as I tried to make out what just happened a few seconds earlier. I can't explain how I picked myself up that day and returned home. The next day when I went to that park, I saw cops near the park, and it was sealed like a crime scene. A small crowd gathered on the sidewalk and watched this entire situation. Out of confusion, I asked the man standing in the crowd, "What's going on here?" He said in a restless voice, "They have traced the missing kid from last month. It seemed like someone abducted this kid for ransom and later murdered him. An old woman came to jog in the morning when a dog dug up that ground under the tree. That's when she saw a small hand lurking beneath the soil. Look, there he is." I followed the man's eyes and saw the paramedic taking away a corpse of a small child dressed exactly like that little boy. The corpse had no eyes, which supposedly got eaten by maggots. The body has been there for months, so its rotten smell makes the air heavy. Everyone covered their nose and some even walked away to avoid vomiting. It came to know that the boy's babysitter brought him to the park and later abducted him, asking for ransom from his parents. When they threatened her, saying she will never get away with this, the cruel woman strangled the boy and buried his body under the same tree where he used to play every day. The boy's spirit was still coming to the same place, trying to dig himself out, not knowing he was already dead. The babysitter was later arrested when the police connected her to the crime. She's now serving life in prison for kidnapping and murder of a minor. I was so traumatized by this incident that I stopped driving the ice cream truck altogether. After selling it to someone else, I moved to another state. To this day, whenever I see a child sitting alone in a park, I get chills down my spine. I wonder how many other spirits are out there, trapped in places where they met their tragic end, trying desperately to go home. When I was a kid, there was an ice cream truck that would come to my neighborhood every weekend. Those were simpler times. The sound of that cheerful jingle would send all us kids running to get our parents' money. We'd scramble through drawers and check our piggy banks, desperate to get $1 before the truck moved on. The driver's name was Mr. Williams, and he was the friendliest guy you could imagine. Every Saturday afternoon, like clockwork, his white van with colorful pictures of ice cream painted on the sides would pull up to our street corner. Little did I know that Mr. Williams had a much darker reason for being so friendly with the neighborhood children. Mr. Williams was a short, portly man in his 50s with a constant smile on his face. He knew every kid's name and their favorite flavors. Not just the regulars, but everyone. Even kids who only came by once or twice. He'd remember them months later. When it was your birthday, he'd give you a free sundae with extra sprinkles and sing happy birthday right there on the street. Some parents would even let their kids walk to the ice cream truck alone to save them the trip. Looking back, that trust is what made him so dangerous. We all thought we knew him. For years, I'd been one of his regulars. Every Saturday, I'd get a chocolate vanilla swirl cone with rainbow sprinkles. Mr. Williams would say, "Here comes my best customer. One chocolate vanilla swirl coming right up, Tracy." It made me feel special. One summer day, when I was about 9 years old, Mr. Williams asked if I wanted to see inside his truck. I'd always been curious about what it looked like in there. "I've got a special new flavor I'm testing out," he said with that friendly smile. "Would you like to be my official taste tester, Tracy?" All my friends were jealous. "You're so lucky," they said. "He never lets anyone in there." How could I say no? Mr. Williams was everyone's favorite. I climbed into the back of Mr. Williams's ice cream truck through the service window, having to hoist myself up. Inside, it was surprisingly cold and cramped, much smaller than it looked from outside. The metal walls were covered in frost, and the air smelled like vanilla and chocolate mixed with something slightly sour beneath the sweetness. There were freezers on both sides filled with ice cream, popsicles, and ice cream sandwiches, all neatly organized. Everything looked normal at first glance. But as I looked closer, taking in my surroundings, I noticed something strange. There was a locked freezer in the very back with a heavy padlock on it. "What's in that one?" I asked, pointing. Mr. Williams's smile faltered for just a second. A flash of something dark crossed his face. "Oh, that's just where I keep my special inventory," he said quickly. He quickly handed me a small cup of bright blue ice cream, clearly trying to distract me. "Here, try this. It's blueberry blast." I took the cup and the small wooden spoon. I tasted it, and it was delicious, creamy and sweet, but I couldn't stop staring at that locked freezer. My eyes kept drifting back to it. Then I noticed other strange things that didn't quite fit. A backpack shoved in the corner behind some boxes, looking worn and dirty. Some children's toys scattered on a shelf. A teddy bear, a small action figure, a jump rope. What were those doing here? And what looked like a child's shoe, a small pink sneaker, tucked beside one of the freezers. My stomach started to feel weird. "Mr. Williams, why do you have a backpack back here?" I asked, my voice smaller than I intended. "And those toys?" His smile completely disappeared. The friendly expression I'd known for years vanished like someone flipped a switch. "You're a curious little girl, aren't you, Tracy?" His voice sounded different now. Colder, flatter, dangerous. The way he said my name didn't sound friendly anymore. It sounded like a threat. Before I could respond, before I could even think about running, Mr. Williams walked over to the locked freezer and pulled out a key from his pocket. "I suppose it doesn't matter if you see now," he said, his voice casual as he unlocked the padlock with a soft click. "You're going to be part of it soon anyway." He opened the freezer door and my blood ran cold despite the sweat on my forehead. Inside weren't expensive ice cream flavors. Inside were photographs, dozens of photographs of children, carefully arranged in plastic sleeves. Some were smiling at the camera, posed like school pictures. Below the photos were plastic bags containing what looked like locks of hair in different colors: blonde, brown, black, red, small jewelry pieces, even baby teeth. Over the years, I've met so many wonderful children, Mr. Williams began, his voice proud and nostalgic, each one special in their own way. He started pointing to different photos, touching them lovingly. This was little Emma from 2 years ago. Such a sweet girl. She loved strawberry ice cream, always wanted extra whipped cream. She had the most beautiful blonde hair. And this was Marcus, he continued, pointing to a photo of a boy with freckles. Always wanted extra chocolate sauce on everything. His parents really thought he ran away from home, made a whole big news story about it, search parties and everything, but he's right here with me. He spoke about these children, these missing, probably dead children, like they were baseball cards. No remorse, no humanity, just pride in his collection. "And you know what, Tracy? I'm afraid I can't let you leave now. You'll make a perfect addition to my collection. I need to take your picture first." "For the collection." Can't have a collection without documenting it properly. And before I could reply, before he could raise that camera, he lunged at me. His hands reached for my shoulders. I instinctively threw my phone at him. It hit him in the eye, and he began to scream, stumbling backward. With no hesitation, I bolted. I threw myself through the service window, not caring about Grace. The metal edges scraped my arms. I hit the pavement hard but didn't stop. Behind me, I heard the truck door opening. I ran all the way home, not looking back, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. I was crying, screaming, completely terrified. When I finally reached my house, I burst through the front door. My mom came running. I must have looked insane, scratched up, bleeding, sobbing, my clothes torn. When I told my mom everything that happened, she immediately called the cops. When the cops arrived, they took my statement very seriously. I had to tell the story 3 times. They took pictures of my injuries and asked detailed questions about everything I could remember. Then they immediately went to find Mr. Williams. They searched the neighborhood, put out an APB, checked his home address. It was an abandoned house. They searched ice cream distributors, truck rental companies, but they couldn't find Mr. Williams. No one could. The ice cream truck was never seen again. Police in neighboring states was alerted. The FBI got involved. They never found the children from the photos. They could only identify a few, including Emma and Marcus, both missing from different states. They never found Mr. Williams. The case is still open. The incident traumatized me for the rest of my childhood. I had nightmares for years, always the same one, being trapped in that freezer. But with a lot of therapy, I moved on. Although I always jump at the sound of an ice cream truck. That cheerful jingle now makes my skin crawl. As I know, Mr. Williams is still out there, collecting children and spreading his ice cream truck route to new, unsuspecting neighborhoods. I loved ice cream as a kid. I mean, what kid doesn't? We all recognize the ice cream man by his face, with how often we saw him. And in return, he remembered all our names. His name was Harry, and he always looked a little worse for wear. Every time I went up to him, he'd say, "Hey Joel, another strawberry popsicle today?" The adults were all fond of him too. The merciless heat didn't spare them just because they were grown-ups. I'd sometimes overhear my own parents chat about how rough Harry's life had been. I was walking home late after hanging out at a friend's place. So I was excited when I noticed Harry's ice cream truck coming up the road beside me. I waved down the ice cream truck and waited for it to park. Instead, I was met with someone else entirely. "Hey there, kiddo. What are you having?" "Strawberry popsicle, please," I told him. The man disappeared into the truck for a moment before emerging with a wrapped red popsicle in his hand. I took it from his hand and noticed that the clear plastic packaging had become slightly torn. "This is $1.25, right?" I asked as I rummaged through my pocket with one hand. "No need to pay," he told me. "Consider it a gift from me to you." Actually, his eyes darted left and right, as if to see if there was anyone nearby. "How about I treat you to some more free ice cream in the truck?" No thank you," I told him. "I actually have somewhere to be right now." The man was smiling, but I could see from his eyes that he was angry. He drove off, and I continued my walk home while trying to enjoy my popsicle. Most of it still tasted like strawberry, but there was also an underlying metallic tint to it that I couldn't quite place. When I got home, I put the weird half-eaten popsicle in my freezer to continue eating later. The next day, I went downstairs from my room to see the face of the new ice cream man plastered on the news. My parents were both watching it with watery eyes. The young man had been caught by the police in the middle of trying to coax another kid in town into his ice cream truck. Inside the freezer was the bloody body of Harry. I realized with horror that the metallic taste I got from that strawberry popsicle the other day was Harry's blood trickling from his still fresh. The news went on to explain that the young man, Harry's murderer, was none other than Harry's own son. The police found detailed notes about which organs were worth the most money, conversations with black market dealers. They also found a notebook with photographs of children from the neighborhood, their routines, when they walked alone, where they played. My photo was in there, circled in red pen. The whole town mourned the loss of their friend. Kids left strawberry popsicles and ice cream cones at his grave, while his traitorous son rotted in prison. Our small town was never quite the same after that. I still think about Harry sometimes, about how he spent his life being kind despite his struggles, only to be murdered by the son he probably still loved